Well, let's start with the big story of the day. U.S. President Donald Trump has paused the U.S. military Project Freedom operation to open the Strait of Hormuz due to great progress that he has said being made towards a complete and a final agreement with the representatives of Iran. Trump has said that operation will be paused for a short period of time to see if agreement with Iran can be finalized. Now, as far as Project Freedom is concerned, it is a U.S. military initiative that was launched on May 4th, 2026 by President Donald Trump to guide the commercial ships stranded by the Iranian blockade in the Strait of Hormuz to safety. Iranian president, on the other hand, has said that U.S. is pursuing a policy of maximum pressure and expects Iran to submit to their demands, which is impossible for Tehran. So that's the latest we're learning. As far as the war in West Asia is concerned, for now we're learning that U.S. President Donald Trump has paused the U.S. military Project Freedom operation to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Let me take you through what Donald Trump has posted on social media in regards to this. He said, based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during the campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally the fact that the great progress has been made towards a complete and the final agreement with representatives of Iran, we have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in force and effect, Project Freedom, which is the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be reached or finalized and signed. So this is what he has said. Two very important points that he has said, that this is to ensure that there has been a great progress towards a complete and the final agreement with Iran, and also saying that the Project Freedom, which is a campaign, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, that will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed with Iran, is what Donald Trump has said. Let me go across to my colleague Mayank, who's been tracking all the details. Mayank, what the U.S. is essentially doing is preserving the maximum military leverage, the blockade of the Iranian ports remaining in effect, while, in fact, the pausing of the U.S. escorting vessels through the Strait of Hormuz in order to further the dialogue that could lead to a diplomatic resolution. Tell us more about the step that has been taken by Donald Trump and what has happened in the last few days that it's led essentially to this decision.
So optimal pressure, which is maximum pressure to make Iran agree to the kind of conditions at least the US side has put. I mean, this line can summarize whatever the things are happening here. It is maximum pressure. And also one needs to understand that not under a military presence that such kind of a freedom can be maintained for long. What I'm trying to signify is that it is because of the large presence of military that the way the things are moving in this, the way the Operation Freedom has been started. So it is not a natural way of the movement of the things which was till 28th of Feb. This is very important. So will it continue or will it not continue will depend on the kind of agreements or the kind of steps which will be taken further. This is very important. Mind it, it also signifies that the pressure of blockade, whether it's from Iran's side, which was controlling and regulating the movement, or then the next step which was taken by the US Navy by blockading the entire movement of any vessel which was moving towards or coming out from the ports of Iran. So these things actually have made every movement impossible in the Strait of Hormuz. It is only after seeing this, the world was built, there was a pressure building up from across the globe, in the sense that almost 1/5, 20% of the supplies of the world was coming out from this area. Right. And the other point is, it is not only about Iran. Mind it, this is very important for the people to understand. It is not only about Iran. Strait of Hormuz also has lots of countries which exports energy from their side.
Absolutely. So the big takeaway is that the naval blockade, the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, that will continue. But when it comes to the Project Freedom, that is a U.S. military initiative that was launched by Donald Trump to guide the commercial ships stranded by the Iranian blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, that will continue. Let me tell you more about what this really means and what this Project Freedom actually is. It is to guide and escort the vessels stranded in the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, it's been more than 2 months months ever since the war has started, and there are many of the vessels stranded there. Humanitarian gesture for Iran and the world. Let's go further and tell you about this aims to ease the global economic strangulation as well, and that was perhaps the reason. In fact, this Project Freedom was launched by President Donald Trump on 4th of May is what we are learning. So this was the reason. Let's tell you about more reactions that are coming in as far as Marco Rubio is also concerned, because now he has warned Iran that do not test us, do not test Donald Trump's will. That is a big message that has come in from Marco Rubio, saying that Trump will back his word. US has issued the strongest warning yet, saying that if tested, Iran will lose. Washington's in fact, they have drawn a big red line, saying that escalation will cost Iran. So that's a statement that has come in from Marco Rubio, saying that they really should not test the will of the United States, at least not under President Donald Trump. He has proven time and again that he will back up what he says, and if they test him, ultimately they will lose. All right, let me once again go back to my colleague Mayank on this. Mayank, a warning once again that has come in from United States is what we're learning. Put this into perspective. In what has happened in the last few days, because we've also seen attacks and the counter-attacks as well, with a fear that this could lead to a larger escalation once again when it comes to West Asia.
See, the whole entire process of this pressure points or the negotiations or ceasefire has been that Iran should not acquire a capability to assemble a nuclear bomb, and that is also connected to the kind of enrichment of uranium or enrichment of fissile material, which is used to start the chain reaction to make a bomb, actually nuclear bomb or anything. The entire process boils down to the same effect, actually. The aim is that only. So what again has been said that US is applying maximum pressure so that Iran agrees to their condition. And that condition is this only. Primarily, that Iran should give up its all pursuit towards acquiring a capability to assemble a nuclear bomb. That's the whole aim. So even this also has been started with that same aim, that Iran should initially start the movement of all kind of vessels, and generally in this area it is merchant vessels, which can be civilian vessels also. Iran should be doing that, and it is after there was no end coming to the kind of talks which were going ahead, that the US has started applying this kind of a pressure. So it is sequential movement of the things, because what started on April 11 in Pakistan was that both sides came together, not directly, and they were talking about the agreements they could make. Again, at that time also, as J.D. Vance, the vice president, had said that it is because of the nuclear talks that things could not move ahead, because there was no movement on that. So primarily it is to pressurize Iran to agree to the conditions which have been put across.
Maximum pressure is being put on Iran at this point in time. Stay on with us, Mayank. Let's listen into what Marco Rubio has to say on this.
It's important for them to understand this is they really shouldn't test the will of the United States, at least not under President Donald Trump. He has proven time and again that he will back up what he says. And if they test him, ultimately they will lose. The hard way, the easy way, the long way, the short way, they will lose. The last point I would make, and it really is important for them to understand this, is they really shouldn't test the will of the United States, at least not under President Donald Trump. He has proven time and again that he will back up what he says. And if they test him, ultimately they will lose. The hard way, the easy way, the long way, the short way, they will lose.
And with that, we have another breaking update coming in, another statement that is coming from Marco Rubio. He has signaled end of Epic Fury phase. He has also said that the operation is over. Trump's aide has claimed that military objectives have been met. When it comes to Iran, he has pushed for peace path after military operations. Marco Rubio has said that US would prefer the path of peace, and also saying that President Donald Trump would prefer a deal with Iran. Have a look at what he said. All right, we will get you his reaction. In fact, that's the latest we're learning as far as Epic Fury operation is their concern. Mayank, shed some light on this. Essentially, what US is saying, that Operation Epic Fury is over. However, when it comes to naval blockade there in the Strait of Hormuz, that is concerned. That will continue. And also mentioning that Donald Trump would really want a deal with Iran at this point in time.
Epic Fury was use of military and carry out operations on Iran. And that was US side. I mean, because it was, as far as the operations from Israel side was concerned, it is called as Roaring Lion. These are two separate options as they have been questioning it actually. So US is saying that primarily they will stop all kind of military operations which was going on Iran. And which had, you mind it has got over by 8th of April, since the ceasefire had started. So also technically, it was Congress permission which was needed to carry out such kind of operation at the international shores, outside of the... so this is also important. In a way, what he's saying is actually there won't be any military operation as far as that side, West Asia is concerned, and specifically on Iran. That's what he's saying. But then what also he is signifying is that as far as the talks on the opening or smooth movement towards which will lead to a smooth movement towards Strait of Hormuz will continue, and which we see that it's continuing. Also in that case, they have anchored or they have based the warships, which is US side. US Navy has based its warship towards the mouth of the Strait of Hormuz so that they can carry out the blockade which they began with the aim that no vessel should be moving towards Iran and should be coming out from the Iranian ports, to put a kind of economic pressure so that Iran doesn't earn to finance its war or continue with the financial earnings. That was the goal, and which continues actually. And willy-nilly, the movement has been stopped in Strait of Hormuz, whether Iran has stopped it or the US has stopped it. So this is how things have moved. And the US is aiming, and the sole aim with US right now is, as has been signified by the US, is that they have achieved the military goal. What was the military goal is actually to blunt the capabilities of Iran to at least use hard powers, which is, and US President has time and again repeated that the Iranian Air Force, Iranian Navy has been totally decimated. That's what he's saying. But he has also, mind it, he has not said that he has, as far as missile is concerned, the US President once, recently he said that mostly the missiles have been destroyed, or the capabilities have been destroyed, which means they still retain some kind of a capability to launch missiles, which the Iran has shown 2 days back, which was on UAE. So this is how the things have moved in last almost 1 month, since April 8th. That's what I'm trying to
Absolutely. So in simple words, what US is trying to say is that the military operations are over. However, the naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, that will continue. And the back-channel dialogues, they will also be conducted with Iran, is what we're learning so far. Stay on with us, Mayank. We have that reaction coming in from Marco Rubio. Have a look at what he said.
Operation Epic Fury is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation. I'm not going to, we're not cheering for an additional situation to occur. We would prefer the path of peace. What the president would prefer is a deal. He would prefer to sit down, work out a memorandum of understanding for future negotiations that touches on all the key topics that have to be addressed, a full opening of the strait so the world can get back to normal. And he preferred that be negotiated through the route that Steve and Jared have been working and that all of us have been supporting. That's the route he prefers. That is so far not the route that Iran has chosen. And so the result has been that the United States has to do something about the fact that we're the only nation on earth that can do anything to open up a lane within the Straits of Hormuz to get product and to rescue these people that are trapped in there. And that's what we're undergoing now. What that may lead to in the future is speculative. I'm not going to speculate about what it would take or what it would do. But look, the message to Iran, these guys are facing, they are facing real catastrophic destruction to their economy, generational destruction to their economy, generational destruction to the wealth of their country, imposed on themselves by the actions that they're taking. They should check themselves before they wreck themselves in the direction that they're going.
All right, so when it comes to the dialogue between the two countries, it appears that some progress has been made. Both sides are saying very little about where the sticking points are and where progress has actually been made. But at this point, what we're learning so far is that Operation Epic Fury is over. We'll continue to get you more details on this with this, a very short break.